Is this working? Hello? The sound quality is terrible. Hello? How is the sound quality now? Hello, Pingo. This is a bit of a technical test to see if it's working or not. Um, yeah, Pingo, let me know if like if the picture is okay, if the sound is okay. I have no idea if this is working or not. Hey Schwartz, what's up? I'm just getting used to streaming, so if I mess something up, just shout at me in the chat. Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting stuff going on. There's always infinite opportunities to both win and lose money. I've got a lot of stuff on my watch list. If anything catches your eye, or if you want to look at something in particular, I don't mind. I could just go through my tabs. I've got a lot of stuff open. Thanks, Schwartz. I really appreciate it. Yeah, as I say, I'll look at anything. I really don't mind. But if we find any squeeze setups, then that would be pretty cool. Hey, Blocky McBlockface. Sure, we can look at Gnus. Hey, Pingo, what's up? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just playing with stuff. I don't know if I'll take the streaming thing too seriously, but like I don't know. It's just good to get some different perspectives on things. And you never know, maybe people find something cool to look at. So yeah, GNUS, Genius Brands International. Let's have a looky poo. So let's load this up. That's on the monthly chart. Okay, so I mean it is in a downtrend on the weekly there. Has been. You can see it had a bit of a parabolic run up to $11.60, 70, 2020. It hasn't really recovered since then. So look on the daily, see if there's anything good going on there. Okay, so you nearly had a little breakout here on 23rd of March there. Bit of consolidation. Looks like you didn't manage to quite hold that support at 97 cents and a dollar there. That's unfortunate. But you're still in the Kumo, in the cloud there. So I wouldn't I don't know, I wouldn't give up hope on it just yet. But I mean, technically, if you're in the cloud like this, then that's really pointing to being in a state of consolidation or kind of sideways movement there. So I wouldn't expect too much out of it. Um, it's quite interesting that there's a little head and shoulders going on the Chico span there. So I suppose that you know that kind of formation was fairly easy to see on the Chico span there. Let's see if it's doing anything interesting on the indicators. Okay, so you had some divergence in the momentum, like price was going down, but momentum was actually going up as this played out. So it's a little bit of a sneaky snack is Genius Brands International, and that's kind of what drove this initial pop from 90 to over a dollar there. Let's have a look at the blobby bandidos. Yeah, I mean it looks like this is kind of fading a little bit for now. It's not really in an uptrend. It's quite weak. Yeah, you did have a period of low volatility and a squeeze and some good divergence and stuff, but right now, you know, you're in the bearish control zone on the RSI down here. I think there's a kind of a head and shoulders vibe going on in the RSI there as well, so that's also pointing to, you know, some kind of a reversal there. So yeah, overall, I would say that the move has kind of already happened on Genus there, but it might be worth keeping an eye on. I wouldn't write it off. I mean, 4 hours time frame, like you're above the cloud on that, even though the momentum is kind of garbage. Hey, Ghost of Dead Money, what's up? I'm really glad that the picture quality is good. I have no idea how to tell if it's okay or not. Yeah. Yeah, no worries, Blocky McBlockface there. Yeah, the momentum is pretty weak. So yeah, and Vortex here is kind of, you know, had this negative cross at dollar there. So I think the bull case for this is that it remains above 88 cents. It's already kind of breaking an important level at 92.50 there. So um, yeah, might be one to watch, but I wouldn't expect it to do anything too crazy for the time being. And as I say, that I mean the longer term picture is pretty ugly there. Kramer's cash holdings are up from the sound of it. His cash holdings. Well, just remember to do the complete opposite of whatever Kramer suggests, and you'll probably make money. So yeah, if there's no particular suggestions or anyone doesn't want me to look at something in particular, I'll just kind of go through what I've been looking at and what I'm interested in on my tabs here. Some interesting kind of you know, squeeze setups, interesting harmonics and stuff. So Williams Company is there, WMB something I'm keeping an eye on there. Very very low volatility. Hey psychos, yeah sure we can take a look at RMED. RMED. Yeah, is that like the uranium like spot price or like is that like UUUU for example? I'm not sure which ticker I should look at when it comes to uranium specifically there. Um, wow, Ahmed. Okay. Doing a little bit of dumpster diving, eh? Here, psychos. Okay. So yeah, pretty brutal downtrend on the old Ahmed here. There must have been some kind of weird stock split or something going on this. This is kind of giving me Muln vibes. Like, what is this? This like a little a little modest 99.94% pullback here. Very good. Anything going on the weekly? This is, yeah, ranging for the moment. Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. There's a little bit of life in it, I guess. Had some squeezing going on here. That move has kind of happened already, but ADX is extremely low, so maybe there is some potential for volatility to come in here. Um, since it's so volatile, I guess you would probably have to monitor it on like, you know, the 30-minute time frame, or maybe even lower than that. It's pretty illiquid, more illiquid than the desert on these low time frames. But let's say an hour here. I mean there is some squeezing going on, but like you really have to take that with like a pinch of salt when you're on these illiquid stocks on low time frames. So Is there some bullish divergence going on here? It's higher, high? No, not on the 4 hour. What's this? Tiny bit of bullish divergence going on there. I think you could be waiting for a while until this does anything. Um, on the 30, like maybe just set an alert on it. Like maybe if it gets above this previous high, like set an alert at like 42 cents or something, and then just check in on it, see if it's doing anything. Um, I'll turn off the blobby bands and itchy for a second. What's this doing? Yeah, yeah, sure. Like stick an alert on it and come back to it for sure. Is this some? Can't really call it a parallel channel. Some kind of trend. It's a bit rough. It's very hard to draw much of a trend on this, unless it's like maybe a broadening wedge or something. But yeah, tricky one that there, psychos. Let's have a look through my different tabs. So we got MasterCard here. But we start out on the 4 hour. Kind of a ranging behavior again here, like that. In an uptrend for the moment there, MasterCard, but it's not doing anything too crazy. A little gap down below the cloud on the hourly, ranging. Looks a lot like many other charts I looked at yesterday, like PayPal. No, not PayPal. Pinterest even was doing this kind of sideways barcoding type thing after a big gap down. eBay. eBay on the 4 hour. What's going on? Holding on to support by a thread there with some fairly iffy harmonics going on, but there is some bullish harmonics in there as well. It's quite interesting. Not that you can put too much store in made up harmonics like anti-bats and that. Sloping downwards, the 200 SMA there. Not mega bullish. Little curved bottom on the hourly here. Might be a temporary bottom there on eBay. Snowflake. This was one I was looking at yesterday. Some interesting harmonics there. Held on to the bottom of the cloud. Had a suboptimal Gartley there. It's getting snagged on the midline of the Bollinger Bands, but the bands are, coming in close together. Maybe there's some volatility coming into this. Very similar chart again. Oh, another Gartley there. Gartleyception. Pretty sideways on the low time frames. Maybe an inverse head and shoulders on the RSI. Maybe that goes back up to like 224 or something. You can see it's up in pre-market a little bit there. We've got an hour. DWAC, Mr. Donald Trump. How's DWAC doing? Do the start on the 4 hour. Very, very violent and choppy. Start on the daily here. So looks like it's found the same support that it had back in December there. I just put a support on that. There we go. On the December daily Tenkan Sen, maybe if I went up to the weekly, there'd be something. No, it's too new for there to be much information on the weekly, but you could go by the daily there. Candle body close above 45.36 is actually pretty good. I don't think you want to go much lower than this though. Another funky bat going on there. Always got to be careful with harmonics because even a really bullish harmonic won't necessarily counteract a brutal downtrend there. Hello, I see another person joined. Welcome. If you want to look at anything or you want my opinion on something, just let me know in the chat. Just going through different squeeze plays and all the you know, it basically looks like Google Chrome right now, like a million different tabs going on here. Oh, cheers, bud. Yeah, okay. You are. We'll do a little uranium for the uranium mad lads out there. Let's start with URNM. Okie dokie. So, start on the daily. Oh, this is cool. This is pretty bullish. Oh, I've heard of AMC. I've been burnt on AMC before. I'm very careful with AMC now. I think uranium's probably less dangerous to handle than AMC. Yeah, okay, uranium for the uranium Mad Lad squad. What's going on? Start on the high time frame, daily. Let's make it full screen. So we've had these kind of regular periods of compression and volatility here, which I imagine you'll see more clearly on the lower time frames there, daily. So yeah, I mean you're in an uptrend. This is pretty bullish. It's having sort of regular stair steps up. You're above the cloud here. You're above key support levels at 70, call it 74 there. Got the 200 SMA underneath you. You got low ADX, so the trend isn't mega strong right now, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. Let's have a look at the 4 hour. Maybe there's some more stuff going on here. I should turn off the auto harmonic thing. It's a bit misleading. Just play what's on the chart. Play the chart in front of you and all that, right? So low ADX again. We are having a little bit of a squeeze here. Still above 75, above the midline of the bands. Trend is sideways for the moment, as you can see from the Kumo there. Sideways, sideways, sideways. Even the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen are also pointing sideways. I'd say it's just consolidating right now, really. It's quite illiquid on the hourly here, but I mean, this is all positive. So in the super short term, like I guess, today, it would be pretty cool if it stayed above 82. That would be bullish. Maintaining support there. Yeah, overall looks pretty bullish to me. Maybe look at it on the monthly. What's the monthly chart look like? URNM. Okay. Yep. I mean well, okay, February, January. So basically for the entire existence of North Shore Global Uranium Mining ETF, You've been above the Tenkan Sen. You've been above the blue line the entire time, and you only had 1, 2, 3 months below it, and even then it only just touched the Kijun Sen, so medium-term support. You know, it's in an uptrend. It's pretty hard to argue with that. And Siki, if you're watching, thank you so much for retweeting me. That's really cool. So yeah, uranium looks pretty cool. Let's have a look at you. Okie dokie. Monthly chart. Uh, okay, so this has been traded for a long time. Goes back to 2007. Been in a downtrend for a long time. A little bit of bullishness between 2018 and 2020 there, but looks like something changed around 2020 here, and ever since then it's been above the midline of the Bollinger Bands. So that looks pretty strong. You've been above the cloud since April 2021 as well. Um, I mean, I suppose technically on the long term, I mean, this is kind of pointing sideways, 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 sideways. So maybe there's some kind of consolidation here, but I think you have to look at the low time frames to get a better picture of this. Huge squeeze back here, 200 SMA curling up beneath you. So the longer it spends up here, the more time the indicators and the oscillators have to catch up with it. And it's maintaining, it's got like 3 different levels of support on the weekly here, which is quite unusual. You see how the Tenkan, the Kijun, and the Cloud are all lining up here to make like a trampoline or like a big soft cushion underneath you at 833 there, 840. So yeah, overall looks very nice. Much more bullish than a lot of things. Let's have a look. Oh, thank you, Caitlin. I have to just respond to that on Twitter. That's really nice. Yeah, UE. We'll do UEC next. Let's have a look what's going on there. My uranium homies. So start on the high time frame again. Weekly. Pretty similar story across all of these uranium stocks. I mean, I suppose. Oh, I'll drop my Twitter handle in. Here you go. Psychos. It's Zero Hype TA. But there's my Twitter handle there. Always happy to get another follow or a retweet. So yeah, weekly, yeah, very similar story across a lot of these uranium tickers. I mean, long periods of downtrend before this, but I mean, the common thread amongst them is that something appears to have changed, perhaps in the uranium markets in sort of late 2020 there, and when you had a Bollinger Squeeze on the monthly, which is pretty unusual actually. These kinds of low ADX Bollinger Squeezes on the monthly, pretty rare, very powerful. And you can see what's happened since January 2021 there is that you've had this kind of what's it's called a band walk. So price action is marching, stair stepping up the Bollinger Bands after the compression and the energy has been smushed into a small space there. So very bullish again. Let's look on the lower time frames. Yeah, technically technically sideways on the weekly here, but so much support beneath you at 408 there. Tenkan Kijun Cloud, lovely little feathery mattress underneath you there. And even if you broke all three of those levels, you'd still have more support from the bottom of the cloud at 357 and the Bollinger Band midline there as well. So I don't know. You could also maybe you could look at that as like a bull flag on the weekly as well, there, which is quite interesting. I suppose you'd expect to see a bit of divergence in there if it was lower highs, lower highs. Okay, I don't know if that's a bull flag or not, but overall, a very very bullish picture on that. And thank you for the 4 likes, whoever did that, you kind people. Okie dokie. Well, that is UEC. We'll do one more. Do YCA. If not, I'll just go through my tabs. I'm always looking for Bollinger squeezes and big explosive breakouts, so that's always fun. So yellow cake. Don't know a ton about yellow cake. I know it's beneficial to be situated in Britain. For yellow cake, uranium, I don't know. I think it's just easier to trade. I think there's a lot of restrictions around trading it in Canada and the US there. So again, very similar vibes from all these tickers here, like a little bull flag. Look, going into a kind of a triple top breakout there. Clearly in an uptrend, not even touching the Kijun Sen here, the red medium term support. If you come down, you got tons of support underneath you at 376 there. The midline of the Bollinger Band curling up underneath you and supporting you as time goes on. So this is only getting more bullish as time goes on, pretty much. Go down to the daily. Uh, yeah, little flagpole there. Just get rid of my drawings. That's pretty cool. Little flag there. There we go. And that kind of broke out of the top of the flag, and that's retesting it. So yeah, bouncing upwards pretty much. So that is yellow cake, and welcome whoever is my 5th viewer there. Again, if anyone wants to look at anything in particular, just let me know. If not, I'm just going to go through my crazy numbers of tabs here and find some squeezy McSqueeze plays. I mean, we could even look at AMC. I know people love a bit of the old AMC. It's not as bullish as uranium, but I know people like it. Yeah, all right, let's have a look at AMC. I should have probably put that in my Twitter actually, that I was looking at AMC. Maybe I should update that now. Hold on, 1 second. There, just updated my tweet with that AMC and GMETA in particular. If anyone needs it, make sure you're on live chat too. I am on live chat, Katie Babes, and welcome. I am on live chat. I should be able to see all of your wisdom in the chat box there. So I don't know. Maybe people will drop in if they see that I'm talking about AMC. So yeah, daily. Let's do this on the weekly. We'll spend a couple of minutes on AMC because I got kind of a soft spot for AMC there, and I see someone retweeted that, so thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Joe Furley. Um, that's super nice of anybody to like that and retweet that. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we'll do it how we do it. We're going to do a little bit of AMC, and we'll start zoomed out as is only right and proper. Uh, Thank you, Psychos. Really appreciate it. So, what's the situation on AMC? So we'll start on the weekly. How should we do this? Let's load that up. Turn off. Yeah, I don't want any harmonics. Just remove any drawings. Okie dokie. So, what's going on? Okay, I can see the 200 weekly SMA there, gently and slowly curving up underneath us as time goes by. So the longer AMC persists in this price range and finds support, the more time the indicators and support levels of support and resistance from Ichimoku from the clouds here. That the longer that goes on, the better for AMC. So it's kind of hard to be mega bearish on it, like especially when you're above the 200 SMA on these high time frames here, and you haven't really managed to um, definitively close underneath it either. Just turn off whole sweep for a second so you can see the candles properly. So yeah, no definitive closes under major long-term support there. You could go all the way back to March, April, May 2021. Arguably AMC is actually more bullish now than it was then. Despite this fairly vicious downtrend that we've been in since the highs at $72 there. Or was it $77? Call it $73, $72 there. So it's very good. It's very positive that we've had this springy bounce from these levels here. $15, and this is quite interesting. This is like one of the reasons I quite like live streaming. It's because you just end up seeing things that you might not see otherwise. And if you look at the Chico span here, the green line, you'll see that there is a potential inverse head and shoulders, um, provided you get back to $24 in the next 2 or 3 weeks there. That would be a pretty major and bullish reversal pattern on AMC there. So let's see if we can kind of draw out what that would look like. So you come down. The Chico span is just current price action reflected 25 or 26 periods in the past, and it only takes closes into account, so it cuts out a lot of the noise, which is really important there. And AMC is a very noisy stock. So inverse head and shoulders here. Let's see how that would play out if we did this kind of bounce back up to $24, $25. So it looks something like that. And then you kind of have like a neckline going across like that. So yeah, inverse head and shoulders. I wonder what the measured move on that would be. Very rough. Just take it like that. That inverse head and shoulders from, let's say you completed it around 2024, would actually take you back to like 30, 33, 34. So hard to be too bearish about it on the longer time frames there on the weekly. And there's a very important average. It's called a Lima, a logistic EMA average here that is curling up underneath AMC on the weekly there. So that's also positive. The only thing that's kind of the bull case scenario. Like if we look at the bear case here, like it isn't great that AMC wicked up to $34 and kind of got rejected from that, and then it kind of got rejected from the blue line from the Tenkan Sen there as well. So that's not optimal right this very second. But yeah, if you hold this level consistently over the next and above consistently over the next few weeks, like the situation on that could improve drastically there. And one of my favorite little tricks here. Oops, not Bollinger Bands. Let's load up the Harmoniacs, and we do it on the weekly. And I'll get rid of Itchy for a second there. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Like you don't see these harmonics playing out on the super high time frames on the like the weekly and monthly charts very often here. And they can be very slow moving. They can take a long time to play out. However, as our friends at Rocky Outcrop and Trade Spotting rightly pointed out, and I mean, I pointed it out on February the 7th. I'm just saying. Don't hate me. I pointed this out like many, many weeks ago. Um, but yeah, there is a Gartley harmonic on here, which is that's about as good as you can get, really. That's one of, is it Steve Carney? Steve Carney's favorite patterns there, and the T2. So the target one gets hit like extremely regularly. Target 2, not as regularly, but still pretty common. Target 4 is pretty unlikely. That's very, very rarely hit. Hey, Katie Baves. Oh, Scott. Who's Scott? Oh, Scott, is that like a ticker or something? I can look at Scott if you want. Scott. Scott. A lot of Scottish stocks there. I don't know if that's what you wanted me to look at. Scotty Resources, Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust. I think that's where. Don't quote me on it. I think Trade Spotting used to. I don't know if he dealt with them or had some kind of dealings with them, but I know Trade Spotting's very familiar with SMT there. Oh, Scott Carney. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not really a ticker, but it is a man. The man, the myth, the legend, Scott Carney, yeah. And the king of harmonics there. So yeah, AMC probably going up to $50 eventually. Could take many, many weeks to get there. I really like this logistic EMA here. Um, Completely different kind um, of moving average there, and very powerful. You can see it's only been above that EMA for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe six, um, going all the way back to March 2021. So to be above that for 2 weeks now is actually pretty bullish. That's quite good. So that's AMC on the weekly there. Let's have a look at the Bollinger Bandidos and maybe Itchy. Okay, so the momentum is fading a bit on the daily here. That's a bit disappointing. You are What I had hoped for AMC was that it would respect this level at around 2021. I mean, if we open up, we're up slightly in pre-market to 2070 here. So it's not a confirmed downtrend just yet. I mean, when you're in the cloud like this is really speaking to the absence of trend. So it's not really trending one way or the other. But if you opened today above 2114, you'd be back in the cloud and you'd have support from the Chico span there. So that would be pretty cool. Um, you don't really want to make like a lower low here. I think the Bollinger Band's probably told a pretty interesting story here. This is why I love Bollinger Band squeezes. This was so easy. This was so easy to play. Like if people knew what to look for and were looking on the lower time frames, so using the powers of Ichimoku, you'd have seen this squeeze back on the 18th of March here. The orange going on in the back of the Bollinger Bands here. It's indicating low trendedness, low ADX. So that's where that kind of hesitation in a trend is coming from there. That's pointing to hesitation. Um, and I'll look on the lower time frames in a second, then you'll really see what happened. But basically, when you saw this squeezing here and the RSI above 50 and Vortex crossing positively there, Like it's definitely got your attention. And by itchy, as soon as this broke above 1572 and the Bollinger Bands were expanding, this was something that you probably wanted to be in. And you would have only exited up there at 50 at 29.30, so that is a pretty nice profit there of 90%, 90% profit. So yeah, excellent squeeze there. Let's look on the low time frames and see how that played out. I think the optimal time frame for looking at stuff like AMC and GameStop is probably 30 minutes, maybe even lower. Because like it or hate it, I mean the truth is that these tickers get they get day traded a lot. AMC arguably more than GameStop. AMC is kind of being day traded to death at some points. If people were holding on to it more tightly, you probably wouldn't have these big drawdowns. But I digress. So yeah, here on the 30 minute, this is kind of just wargaming kind of what happened here. Bollinger Squeeze, Keltner Channel Squeezes, regained these important levels of support here, ultimately regained the 200 SMA here, and rode that up the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen all the way to the top here with a ending with this kind of blow off top giant wick up there at $34. So yes, I mean it's bullish, but like the real question is in terms of evaluating how bullish this is um, you've had that positivity, but how much of that positivity is retained? How much of the positive price action are the bulls able to defend in the medium term and the long term? Because it's perfectly normal to have these pullbacks, and I'll just turn off Itchy for a second so you can kind of see what I'm pointing at. So this is just bare price action here, and if we do just a little Fibonacci on it, a little Fibonacci from the bottom to the top there, we've gone past the zero point 0.5, so I mean, again, we're up a little bit in pre-market, so again, it would be nice to be above 21 today. Then a zero point 0.5 retracement wouldn't be a particularly brutal pullback. It wouldn't be the end of the party. It would just be a pullback in the context of a larger uptrend. But even going down to 1875, 1817, down to the golden pocket there, really wouldn't be problematic. So I understand there's a lot of people get very upset. Um, maybe there is an element of manipulation. I don't know. But the truth is that, well, Fibonacci doesn't lie. And if you just went back to the golden pocket here, there really wouldn't be anything to worry about, in my opinion. We turn on Ichimoku there, and you'll see that the golden pocket has plenty of support here and slightly below it at 1760. So I mean, I tweeted the other day that like there was important support to hold at 2280 up there, and AMC didn't manage to do that. I didn't actually think it would. But you got to give the bull case to people on Twitter, or at least be unbiased about it. It would have been bullish if it had remained above that. Didn't manage to do that. So it's had a zero point 0.5 retrace, and yeah, I said on Twitter that the essential level to hold was this. I'll zoom in for you. So you see this kind of a cushion that the Tenkan Sen, the Kijun Sen, and the bottom of the cloud, all of these things combined together, these are AMC supporters' um, last chance saloon slash best hope for things remaining bullish. It is very, very important that you remain above this kind of 1776, 1760 level here. You do not want to have like multiple daily closes um, below that, because once if you break that and then you're kind of heading down here, then you would have to zoom out again and be looking at these longer time frames for support. And if you went on the weekly here, the dotted line is the 200 SMA there, so you'd be breaking the 200 SMA, and then you'd end up hoping slash praying for support at around $11.11 there, coming from this area of weekly cloud, so strong support that was created. Let's stick a measuring stick on it over a period of 112 days. So price action remaining, within that range and forging that level of support over 112 days is very significant. And so if we wind the clock forward to today, it makes a lot of sense that price action, should it come down to those levels, and you can see I've actually already got an alert on there at 1088, I believe. Our Lord and Savior Rocky Outcrop and his Flash had something very significant to say about 1088. Hey, Casey, what's up? Tesla! Tesla! We can look at Tesla in a second. Just helping out the apes here, Casey. And we looked at uranium before, and unsurprisingly, it was extremely bullish, super duper bullish, in fact. So yeah, if we don't hold these we don't hold these areas that I pointed out on the daily time frame. Yes, it is, Casey. I would not disagree with that, but can't argue with price action. If it makes people money, it makes people money. Um, so yeah, if you broke these kind of daily levels of support that I painted in down there on the lower time frames, you'd be looking up to higher time frames to find support down here at sort of 10 and $11. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it come down to at least $15. That would be completely normal. I wouldn't be panicking about that necessarily. So that's AMC on the weekly there. Overall, the trend is not aggressively to the downside. I think that we do need to kind of reiterate that you've got the Kijun Sen, the medium term momentum slash support slash resistance pointing sideways. Senko Span B pointing sideways. Senko Span A, rounding upwards a little bit like this over time. Maybe there's even the faint ghost of an inverse head and shoulders, if that's not too much of a stretch, in the Kumo, in the cloud there. So as this rolls over and the averages and price persists in this location, we should see the cloud thinning out, and a thinner cloud implies space, a path of least resistance through which price could potentially travel in the future. And then maybe some of these crazy wackadoodle harmonics would begin to make sense. As I say, if we can find confluence between a harmonic that's pointing to 20, it's really tiny. I think that's like $29 or something. T1. Yeah, $29. So I wouldn't be surprised to see $29 again pretty soon. Um, but obviously achieving this T2 is going to require a lot of work, and it's going to require breaking through significant levels of resistance, and um, you can think of these clouds as also being a kind of a sentiment indicator. So a market that's full of bullish, happy, um, happy people, happy, shiny, bullish people, would have lots of thick, fluffy green clouds. And if you're in the context of an uptrend, let's maybe do this on the 4 hour so you can see what I mean here with AMC. Like there have been periods like this, for example. You do get these nice bouncy periods where price action is riding up the Tenkan Sen, the Kijun Sen, and everyone's happy. But you have the opposite of that as well, where you have these big red clouds, sentiment is poor. These clouds are created from the salty tears of people who got burned on it. But no trend goes on forever, no downtrend lasts forever, unless it gets delisted, of course. Um, yeah, I wouldn't write off AMC just yet. So yeah, any stock below the 30-week equals poo. Why would you say it's such a controversial yet brave thing there, Casey? I completely agree with you. I think Casey is referring to stage analysis there. If you are below the 30-week moving average, it does normally spell trouble, and a lot of smart long-term investors, um, will be pretty turned off if they see any stock breaking that. Just show them the angle of the 30-week EMA, Chris. That is all you need to say. That is all I need to say, but then I wouldn't be able to make a live stream, would I? I think it'd be a pretty boring live stream if I just put on the 30-week EMA and said number below this equals bad. I don't think people would like that very much. Or maybe they would. Maybe they don't want to hear my maybe they don't want to hear my annoying voice anymore. Yeah. So what else can we look at? Yeah, true, right? I know. So AMC is poo-poo. That is correct. Oh, we could look at Tesla. That's a thing. What kind? Okay, Blocky Blockface, my friend. He says, what kind of timeline would you think for 29 if that were to play out? Well, that's a fairly spicy question you're asking me there, Mr. Blocky McBlockface. So what would be the path of least resistance? What would be the easiest way for price to navigate its way through these frothy times? Let's look at let's leap to the daily. Like, how would we get to $29 and how long would it take to get there? Is your question. So let's just we'll start from a clean slate here. $29. Where is $29? Let's mark that on. So Alt J 29. Let's put that here. 29.05. That's close enough. So if we were to get to $29, how would we do it? Okay, that's another level of resistance and support there. Well, if we're above it, it's support. If we're below it, it's resistance. So 23.62. So if we were going to open up, I don't know what's special about 29 exactly. I mean, I don't know if you'd even want it to go to 29 specifically because that would end up being a lower high versus the 29th of March high. But for the sake of argument, okay, we'll just say 29 for whatever reason. How would we get there? Well, put on the old Fibonacci, bottom to the top there. Maybe you go back to the golden pocket here at $18 or so, like that. Maybe the Chico span is maybe this is a fake out. Maybe we're not really breaking the cloud. That would be ideal. The bull case for me rests on really not breaking below this cloud. So if price action continues along this oh yeah, absolutely. I do. It's extremely likely that we'll see 29 again, but the question is when, when moon, as everybody likes to ask, when moon. And that reminds me, I should put on the moon indicator so everybody can see that in a little bit. Maybe somebody can remind me in the chat there. But it's always hard to it's not hard to give, regions where I expect price to go. But it's certainly another level of analysis to say when it's going to do that. And obviously, there's different ways of doing that. You can use Fibonacci time zones and all that kind of stuff, or even just Ichimoku on its own will allow you to do that. But yeah, let's give the bull case here. Let's say we hold. It's okay to ride down this level of support from the bottom of the cloud here, and potentially you would arrive at around 1824 to 1882 in the golden pocket there. And let's say you find support there, maybe you find support, you got support from the bottom of the cloud, and you got even more support underneath you there. So let's say that you bounce from the golden pocket. Obviously, if it went deeper than that, if it goes to the 786 or below that, then that would really point to the overall trend reversing and breaking. So that would be pretty negative. I'm not very convinced that's going to happen in the short term though. So price would come down to this area. We'd find support, we'd find buyers, we'd find some positive momentum. And we'd have to come up again. Have to break the 0.5 and break the top of this cloud here at around 21. Perhaps we could. The question is, if we're going to get there, is like, where is the energy going to come from? So, in terms of energy and volatility, I think we'd have to look at the Bollinger Bands because those are a very good measure of volatility. Because obviously, for price to get to a certain level, it requires a certain amount of um, momentum and power and conviction on the side on the behalf of buyers there in order to achieve those targets. And it was this squeeze initially, this compression, this area of low volatility that brought us up to 29 initially. So what we would be looking for to get past these significant areas of resistance, and it could happen. It doesn't need to take very long. We all know how volatile AMC can be. Some people really, like volatility in stocks. So what we'd be looking for on the blobby bandidos here is to maintain this 200 SMA with the white circles here on the hourly. That would be pretty good. And then what we would see is, and there is a degree of it happening already. You see how I'll just turn off Ichimoku for a second. So you can see the bands narrowing here as the volatility decreases. Well, powerful trends can often they often do start from as low as the 6-minute time frame. I mean, there is even kind of a little bit of a squeeze going on right now. I wonder if that actually looks potentially positive. RSI's on your side, Vortex is on your side for the moment. You got some little squeeze circles going on here. You're up in pre-market there. Yeah, all interesting stuff. Anyway, the point is that I would say in order to achieve those prices, we would need to see power building up. And how do we define power building up? Well, we need to see compression, right? We need to see these Bollinger Bands start to come in like this. And you can imagine them being like imagine like a tube of toothpaste, and imagine like you have a cap on the tube of toothpaste and then you stamp on it, or you get like a sledgehammer or something, and then it just blows that cap off, and all that pressure, all that buying pressure, is released. That's the kind of scenario that I would see playing out in order to achieve that. So I don't know if that's too wordy an answer to your question. I mean, we could always just put on the Fibonacci time zones. That sometimes gives some interesting results if I can find it. Fibonacci time zones, pitch fan, fib channels, fib time zone. So where would be? Gosh, there's some really violent. This is why AMC is fun on the low time frames. Look at this craziness that builds up. This one on the 15-minute time frame. This is awesome, by the way. Check this out. This is the power of the squeeze. Okay, so you see $20.26 there, and look at how that compressed in a relatively short period of time. This is the process of power building up in advance of a big move, and that was only 3 days. So any boring people like myself who were watching AMC on the lower time frames would have seen that this was playing out. And when that builds up, that's ultimately what brings you to these kind of 70, 80, 90% moves. That's pretty cool. So yeah, let's try. I don't know, we'll try it with some fib time zones. Maybe there's something interesting going on. We'll just take it from. Let's do it on the hourly. We'll do it from this significant low to this significant high up here. Interesting. So there's something special about the 7th of April there. Fib time zones normally they're not directional. That's an important thing to mention. They don't necessarily mean that it's going to moon on a particular date like that. What Fib time zones are telling you is that these are significant potential turning points in markets. So it could be a turning point low or it could be a turning point high. But perhaps there is something to keep an eye on. Oh, it's 7th of April. It could be today. I don't know. We're only doing it on the lower time frames. Let's zoom out to a higher time frame and see. Maybe even do it on the daily. See what that looks like. There we go. Ooh, 13th of April though. So there's potentially interesting things going on. 13th of April here, 29th of April here. You know, what does Itchy have to say about this? It's good to find confluence between different indicators. So, you know, do you end up finding support down here, break up here, find support again, you know, something like that, and then maybe you consolidate here and maybe have a big move up after that. You know, it's not impossible. Like, I mean, you have to ask yourself, like, is that really realistic? And I think if you zoom out to kind of the daily and the weekly time frames, like, that even kind of makes sense. I mean, look at it on the weekly here, right? On Ichimoku, we're always looking for the path of least resistance through which price action can travel. And this is where combining Ichimoku with Fibonacci time zones comes into play. As you can see that here around the 16th and 13th of June, you know, if the bulls wanted to push AMC significantly higher, then this is their chance to do it. This would be a great time to do it because it's a hell of a lot easier to pass through these areas of low resistance than it is to, let's say, you know, we drag this out to September 22 and then, you know, if things haven't become more bullish but in the meantime, then you have all of this negativity that's going to continue building up. So, you know, something around May to June there, definitely an area of low resistance. So there's never any guarantees with this kind of thing. But if the bulls really wanted to drive this much higher, that would be their best opportunity to do it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. My 8 concurrent viewers there, and thank you so much for liking it. It's so nice to see people drop 8 likes on my video. So this is just AMC, and if anyone wants to ask any questions about AMC, you're more than welcome to. If AMC is boring, I can also look at GameStop. Pretty interesting chart on that as well, in terms of looking for spaces of low resistance for a price action to pass through. 18th of July there, so kind of a low resistance area, another lower resistance area coming up here. You know, but there's a lot of stuff in the way at the moment. The midline of the Bollinger Bands. I mean, this is why price action has been held up um, at the current time, and this is something that I've discussed on my Discord, which is that GameStop, you know, when it looked like it was going to go all the way to 250 or something, and people were like selling their dog and their cat and their grandma to buy more GameStop shares. Um, Pardon me. You know, historically speaking, it has always been these levels of weekly resistance, these higher time frames that have ended up holding GameStop back. Okay, so let's turn off the blobby banditos for a second here so you can see what I'm talking about. So GameStop wicked through the Kijun Sen, this red line here. The Kijun Sen is a 26 period median average, so it takes the highest high and the lowest low of the previous 26 periods and produces a flat line out of it. That's why it's flat as opposed to being all curvy like a regular moving average. And so I was quite suspicious of this, this big blast through $167, $166 here, because for it to act as support, you'd have to break through it, and then you'd have to have a weekly candle close above that level, and it didn't manage that. Um, so wicking through this medium term support here and kind of getting rejected from it is not or was not mega bullish. Having said that, to give the bull side of the case, it is positive that it's persisting in this level. It's not getting brutally rejected from it, and I might even just snap on a level of resistance there so we can look at it on lower time frames. And maybe we see something else to interpret there. But yeah, it's sad that it got rejected there. I mean, if it didn't get rejected there, it was going to get rejected at 218. It was going to get rejected at 247. So, it's going to take a lot of time if we're going to break those levels. So let's go down to the daily. Interesting. So that weekly level of resistance from the Kijun Sen there has confluence and coincides with the top of the cloud here at 169. So there's lots and lots of resistance going on at this 169 level here. And getting rejected from that, you're not getting support. You're under the 200 SMA here, which speaks to a little bit of a pullback. If you are going to pull back though, I can tell you right now what would be a pretty great place to go. That would be the Kijun Sen, be medium-term support. So if we do a little Fibonacci on that, fib retracement from the bottom there to the top there. Well, what's at the Kijun Sen? It's a 382. So a 382 pullback is not the most bullish thing in the world, but it would still ultimately just be a pullback in the context of an uptrend there. So that would still be bullish. It would still be bullish. And the longer that we persist going sideways, and especially if we maintain 138 like this, and I'll just put on another support so I can kind of paint it out for you. Let's say, how could this play out? Do a path maybe, a path like this. So up, down. Maybe you break that. Maybe you go to that level of resistance on a higher time frame. Maybe you come down and test that level at 167 again. And whoops. Okay, I'll try and draw that again. That's annoying. So up, down, break this, find support, and then ultimately, head on to there you go. Whoops. So you head on to your target up there, and that target, I believe, is this area above us on the weekly there. And if you did have that play out, it would end up looking like an inverse head and shoulders, which would be very good. That would be bullish. Oh, is it a flash at 132? Let's have a look. How would that play out? So chances are it's almost certainly going to go there then. If it's 132, it takes you slightly below this level. It might just be a wick though. You can't guarantee that the flash doesn't imply necessarily that it's going to be a candle body close around that area. Could just be a wick. So let's say you got a wick we're on the 4 hour, so like let's say 132 down here. Let's say you found support. I'll draw a rectangle on. There you go. So let's say you found support somewhere in this area here. And a wick to 132, somewhere down here. Like a couple of days consolidation in this little box here around 140. would again be pretty bullish. You have confluence between the Kijun-sen and the Kumo, the bottom of the cloud there, as well as the 200 SMA on the 4 hour. So you've really got three um, three separate things, all telling you that there could be some kind of a bounce, or at least it would arrest the prevailing downtrend if you were to continue in that direction. So yeah, let's say the bull case of that is just that you get some kind of wick down to 130, 132 there on the flash, and then maybe you can continue on up the way there. So yeah, let's never write off GameStop, because I'm sure plenty of shorts out there have they thought that we were going lower when we were down here at 93 or 77, and then they get this giga candle up the bum bum, and then they get wrecked, and they go on Twitter and cry about it. So that's GameStop. Is there anything interesting going on? I wonder if there's any harmonics going on GameStop. Let's have a look. Let me go up to the weekly. See how interesting that would be if you ranged. There's nothing wrong with ranging. I know everybody just wants to go to the moon post haste, but there would be nothing wrong with ranging between 100 and 170 and 140 like this, because the longer you did that, hey, butterfly. They made me sing that stupid song, Butterfly, Butterfly Baby, or what's it, Crazy Town or something. Yeah, probably. I guess I can't see it because I'm kind of stupid with harmonics. That's why I use that indicator. But yeah, Butterfly on the weekly on GameStop would be bullish AF for sure. Um, but me being a complete simpleton here, I like my Bolly Bandidos, because my Bolly Bandidos say when price go wee when it go to the moon, right? So I like consolidation. I like the driest, most boring periods of consolidation you can imagine, okay? Because the more consolidation and squeezy McSqueeze phase you have going on, the more chance you have of going to the moon with all the delicious cheese that exists up there for us to go find. And anyway, my point was that if you persisted in consolidating like that for a significant period of time, what you would see, I don't want, so I just hide my little drawings here. Well, hey, there's an there's a bearish one. Hey, well, there you go. There you go, right? You got your little bearish crab. You got your little naughty crab there, giving you a target down to 132.85. Maybe you'll find confluence between the flash and harmonics there. That's why I leave that harmonic indicator on sometimes, because you just find funny stuff at funny levels, and sometimes it coincides with other things as well. So like, let's say you did go to that 132, like I'm pretty sure that's like the Kijun-sen or something on another day. Yeah, look, there you go. Okay, so on the daily, you go down to 132.85 or just wick down there. Well, you've got the Kijun-sen, you've got daily Kijun-sen support at 138. That would be a pretty, and you've got cloud support as well at 138. So you've got a bunch of reasons to have this downtrend go to 132 and change, maybe consolidate for a bit, and then maybe go up again. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. I digress. So I like blobby bandidos, and my point was that if it continued persisting like this, what you would see is these Bollinger Bands curling over. They would curl over, and they would eventually begin to narrow in the same way that you see on this box here. So let me just draw a little rectangle on that so you can see that. So this is like an area of squeezing and compression and low volatility, and low volatility begets high volatility, something that is really important to remember there. And if price were to do that again now, I mean, frankly, it looks like we need a little bit more time in the oven here. I don't think this is squeezing for a little bit, but what I meant was that if you did continue consolidating in this, what you would see eventually, given enough time and enough persistence of price action, if I can find the drawing tool again, which I can't. Where is it? Yeah, so what you would see is these Bollinger Bands beginning to 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 crush and narrow like this. So this is how we're like painting out the roadmap of GameStop here. So the volatility is dying off. The prevailing bullish trend is dying off a little bit, but equally the prevailing bearish trend isn't really taking over either. And so you would get that kind of band squeezing going on. So it would be an area of consolidation and low energy. And if you did that for long enough, price eventually has to pick a direction. And I'm bullish on GameStop, so it would probably be to the top side there. Just catching up on the old chat box there. What's your fib say? Who cares what my fibs say, BMJ? Obviously, you're the fib god here. Your fibs, those fibs don't lie. I'm sure your fibs will be much better than mine. I just use my Ichimichimoku cloud and a bunch of Bollinger Band stuff. Come, my lady, come, my lady. You're my butterfly sugar baby. Yes, wise words there, Katie Babes. Thank you. Oh, glad someone got that. Goes to Dead Money. Pingo, yeah, they're in GME thread from last week or the 618. Yes, May 4th, you say. I could see May 4th being something special. What could happen on May 4th? I'm gonna get rid of all my cheesy moon drawings. Bye bye. And let's put this on the daily. I don't know. Let's go crazy. Let's look at GameStop on the weekly. Let's see what the weekly GameStop Fibonacci time zones say. Retracement. Yeah, time zones. So we'll do it from this epic low here. If anybody managed to snag GameStop at 263, your name is probably DFV, and that rhymes, so it must be true. And we'll go up to the Topperuni up here. May the 4th be with you. So this is on the weekly time frame. I'm wondering if there'd be any would it be worth looking on lower time frames? We've done the weekly Fibonacci time zone. I wonder if you get anything worthwhile from the daily, or would that be worth doing? If you did it from like a significant low here, like maybe just guessing here, like maybe like that to that, and then see if any of them, see if any of them line up. Wait a second, I'll draw that again. Okay, so there's two areas of kind of confluence going on around September here. That's pretty interesting. So what could happen in September? Area of strong resistance on Ichimoku there. But this is the forward Kumo. This is going to be changing. So actually, by the time we even got there, I mean, we can draw out what these levels of resistance would look like. So let's give the bullish case for GameStop. But we'll just say that it persists. It's not going to do anything crazy, but let's say it just keeps on ranging. Eventually this negativity is going to start to dissipate, and you'll be able to draw out into the future where these levels of support and resistance are. And yeah, if it continues doing what it's doing, then resistance above you would thin out, and eventually you'd have had one opportunity to get through, and you may have another opportunity to get through. So we could look at Tesla. Let's look at Tesla. I know Casey wanted that. Anybody wants me to opine at length on any stock or PooCoin, please just let me know. Drop it in the chat box. Call me names on Twitter, whatever you feel is most appropriate for you and your lifestyle. So Tesla, what's going on Tesla? Is this still in the trade? Okay, so we've got a bearish back going on. This is on the daily. Bearish back on the daily. Target 1889. You still got positive momentum, so it's not going to drop like a rock necessarily. Probably. Should I mark that on? See, this is a nice example of confluence here. Look, you've got the 200 SMA here, this blue and white line here. You got the T1 of this bat. So you got two reasons to find support there at the 200 SMA and the T1 of this harmonic. So yeah, not sure I'm like super bullish on Tesla right now. Like it has had a fairly epic run recently. Like I mean, just look at how many days of positivity we had here. Like what is this? Almost 3 weeks without like. Oh yeah, nice one. Yeah, Ford is a dodgy one. I'm not sure about Ford. I will definitely look at that in a second. So Tesla here, you got that bearish harmonic that's kind of pointing to this area here around like 890, 900. And I always like to ask myself, well, what would the indicators look like should we get there? Should we arrive at that point? And if you did, you'd be underneath the midline of the Bollinger Bands, which is kind of sad. And you would have broken two significant levels of support. Because you see how you have, again, this kind of feathery trampoline mattress of goodness underneath you. Actually, I'll draw it properly. I'll put a little rectangle on there. So there's a lot of support for Tesla around here at 954. So there's a lot of reasons for it to bounce there. And as the days wear on, the midline of the Bollinger Band is going to continue curling upwards. The 200 SMA is going to continue moving upwards to bring you support. And how bearish is this right now? Well, not very. You've only broken the Tenkan Sen, so the lightest form of support here. It was very bullish that it was riding up it so hard, like it didn't even touch it for days or weeks even. So let's combine this with a little Fibonacci. Put this on down here. Go up here. What have we got? So you're on the 236 right now. So I mean, who knows? If this is just a mega bull trend, maybe you just can bounce on from here. But if you don't, you got the 382 and you got the 0.5 underneath you, both of which would be good places to find support and to bounce on upwards there. So you come down, maybe hit this area or hit this area. Maybe you'd persist sideways for a little bit, build up that energy, build up the energy on the lower time frames. And then you'd be able to move on, to move upwards from there. Just draw a little, I have an arrow. Let's say you go down there. And it's really important to, we're on the 4 hour now, so this is significant. Look at all these levels of support that you have underneath you. So on the 4 hour, a little bit of a double bottom going on there. I can see that we're also up in pre-market, which is pretty bullish. But you have multiple levels of like Fibonacci and cloud support coming in at everything between sort of 950, 980, 994 there. So yeah, not really a big deal if you break the Kijun-sen on the 4 hour here. There's plenty more support underneath you. Pretty mild pullback all in all. So let's have a look at Ford. Oh, wow, there was a huge deep crab on it from 398 up to, wow, target 4. There's not very many cases where you see any ticker ever achieve the T4, especially on the weekly. That's pretty unusual there. It didn't quite make it to 2687, but it made it really close at 2607. So, technically speaking, let's turn off the harmonic so we're not biased. Yeah, technically speaking, on the weekly, you've broken the midline of the Bollinger Bands here, which is kind of sad. You can see the top of the Kumo rounding over there, and the Senko span B, so this area of the cloud here is just persisting sideways there. And right now you're sitting on an invisible level of support. You've actually gapped down just slightly in pre-market here. And if I slap on a level of level of support based on the cloud here, you'll find that as if by magic, price action is not just hovering in midair. Price action is actually being supported at this level of the cloud, 14.95 to kind of $15 there. So you've had like a couple of negative DMI crosses there that have brought you here, and it's kind of rounded top, and then a itchy death cross there as well. I wonder if anybody else likes a little bit of the old cheeky span, the lagging span. You see the green line here. And this is a significant area actually, because if the Chico span breaks price action here, that's known as a Chico span dead cross or death cross. So current price action in the present moment would be severing price action that had been built up, the goodwill that had been built up previously on the 11th of October 2021 there. So it's a significant level. And again, if the Chico span were to break that, as it's looking like it's doing here, you've got this like $15 level of support there. But broadly speaking, it's kind of hard to be mega bearish on this. I mean, the cloud, the Kumo kind of speaks for itself here. This is undeniably an uptrend. Maybe if we zoom out, there's some other answers here. Okay, so on the monthly, you are quite a long way from the cloud there. That does sort of point to the present trend being somewhat unsustainable. So the Kijun Sen is pointing sideways. You've broken the Tenkan Sen. The Tenkan Sen is pointing sideways. The top of the cloud, Senko Span A, is pointing sideways on the monthly here. So would I expect this to just continue blasting upwards right now? No, not really. And interestingly, again, always using the Chico span to kind of draw out these formations. Let's say you did persist in this range between $15 and $19 up here. If you bounced up again from here, that could actually end up looking like a head and shoulders on the monthly time frame there. So if you bounced up one more move upwards over time, over the next few months to complete a right shoulder, that would be a pretty strong reversal signal there on Ford. Yeah, man, pre-market is rough. You can't trust anything that goes on in pre-market, especially if it's going on with super low liquidity there. But I will say that like somehow pre-market usually ends up respecting levels of support and resistance, especially those on higher time frames. And even market halts, as we saw with AMC the other day, end up respecting levels of resistance and support. So yeah, is Ford super bullish? Not really. It's already had multiple massive moves. Like, how much chocolate do you want on your biscuit? As a certain great man once said. You've got a lot of work to do if this is really going to continue blasting upwards. Look at all this. I mean, look at this downtrend. Look at this. This is just on the daily here. Ford. Look at how far away these averages, because that's what the cloud is. It's Senko span A and Senko span B. And when they're far away from each other, it's like regular averages being far away from each other. And what that suggests is, the strength of the trend and the strength of the sentiment, and of these clouds being their own kinds of or being their own kinds of sentiment indicator in a way. So pre-market is making Pingo seasick there. Let's see what's going on the Twitteroonies. Thank you, Peter White, for following me. Didn't mean to dox you there, but that is your Twitter name, so I guess that's public information. And thank you so much for liking my tweet there. I really appreciate it. So yeah, anyone wants to look at anything in particular, just let me know. I've been keeping an eye on Pinterest. I think that's quite an interesting one. And I'm kind of hoping that this isn't a bear flag, honestly. Look at this. This better not be a bear flag, Pinterest, otherwise I'll be really annoyed. It's one of those things where I think it really depends on what the rest of the market is doing. If this is going to go up or down. I mean, I think the SPY had some pretty interesting squeezing going on. And even Pinterest is down quite significantly in pre-market there. What is this? There's another bullish harmonic there. Oh, it's already been reached, I think. So we are down, wherever that was, down 1% in pre-market there. Today could be rough. Let's look at the SPY, because everything that goes on the SPY is going to be reflected on every other ticket that we look at today. So lots of harmonics going on. We're in the trade here. Target 1, 441. Okay, 18 minutes till market opens. This is very interesting. So as the market opens today, yet again, the magical cloud is providing us support. So even with all the nonsense that's going on in pre-market, what we're seeing is that despite all of that, we are still achieving a bounce off support here at 445.32. So that's super interesting. Maybe let's go down to the hourly and just see how this played out. I know that me and Casey Hansen there, we were watching SPY very closely yesterday. So we closed. Oh, that's pretty cool. What's that? 449 in trade. That's a Gartley. That would have been nice to catch. Didn't notice that. 449. We've already been to 449 more or less. I don't know if we're gonna go straight back there. That would be pretty cool. Let's stop cheating. We'll turn off harmonics. Okay. So we're still respecting that 445 level. Yeah, sure, buddy. We can take a look at the old loop ring. So yeah, what's the takeaway from SPY is that let's just go to our point of reference. Everything should be interpreted from the level of the 4-hour time frame on Ichimoku here. So we are Chico span is above price action. That it's bullish until it's not. We are still respecting 445, which is good because that is the daily time frame support there. I think you would expect to achieve some kind of a bounce or reaction from that level. It's unfortunate that we are opening today below this 200 SMA on the daily there. I don't really like that very much. And as we open up, this could be quite a bumpy open here. As we open up, the Chico span is going to come down and touch the 200 SMA there as well. So there's kind of multiple reasons for us to, if not bounce, then at least have a very significant pause. Just hit the pause button on the downtrend, arrest the downtrend at that level of 445 there. So with the boring old SPY out of the way, let's have a look at Loopring. And we'll start on the high time frames and work down. So let's turn that off. Okay. Shop looking weak. What do you think? Tubed out says. I will definitely take a look at Shop in one momentito. Shopify. Shopify is an interesting one. I have been keeping an eye on that. Pretty kind of a monster truck of a chart there. Yeah, let's do Loopring for a second. So what happened? So we had a drop below $1. Okay, not significantly below $1. So the Tenkan Sen kind of bailed you out there. That's what gave you this support. I'll just put that on. Make this a bit thinner. There we go. So you've had this Tenkan Sen support at we'll just call it $1 here really. It's only wicked through. It's only wicked through $1. You haven't had like daily closes underneath $1 there, so that's pretty positive. So Loopring, it's obviously been in a downtrend since December here. It's quite rough. The Tenkan Sen is so the short-term support is you actually regained that level of support, or you took over the Tenkan Sen at like 95 cents on the 21st of March there that week. Let's turn off whole suite just so the candles don't confuse people. There you go. So what happened here? Right, so you've been in a downtrend. It's not as strong of a downtrend as people might have thought. Let's have a look at, draw a rectangle in here. So just keep an eye on the Kijun Sen here and the cloud. So you see this red line and you see the bottom of the cloud here. Those are two very significant levels of support if you're above them, as you had been for a number of weeks through November and December back there, and then you broke that and you've come down. This is a logistic EMA, which I quite like. It's a very important EMA, this one that goes from green to red like this. And I would say there's two good things to say about Loopring here. Like the fact that you've regained short-term support on the weekly is very good. It's pointing sideways, so the momentum is certainly not strongly to the downside anymore. This logistic EMA is still pointing down, but again, I mean, if you persist above this just call it $1. If we persist above this dollar by the end of this week and maybe next week, then this average that we're sitting on is going to end up flattening out like this. So I suppose the bull case for loopring here is that you need to maintain this level of a dollar, basically. Um, I don't really like the fact that you have such a thin level of support here. This kind of the thin neck of the Kumo of the cloud like that. It's very relatively easy to pass through such a thin area of resistance and support versus, passing through something that's really thick like that. So um, it's okay at the moment, but this needs to start moving up again in the next 1, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks here. I wouldn't really like it if it's, still hanging around sort of in the low dollars in the coming weeks, because that would really point to uh, at least just some kind of congestion going on here, which wouldn't be very bullish. And as price action persists sideways, if it doesn't go up, always be looking left with the Chico span here, and ask yourself, what would the Chico span be doing should it arrive at that point? Well, if price action continues going sideways like this and doesn't make a breakout to the top side, well, the Chico span is going to end up cutting through that uh, strong green candle that we had back in November. So that would be a Chico span, death cross. So if it was to arrive in by the 25th of April to the 2nd of May here, and it hasn't moved upwards, is basically two bad things that are going to happen. You're going to officially not really be in an uptrend anymore, because this is still technically an uptrend, just especially if you zoom out, this is an uptrend. Um, you'd be breaking this level of support, and yeah, you'd basically be consolidating sideways, and two bad things would happen. Yeah, you'd have a Chico span death cross, and you'd be crossing this thin neck of the cloud here, and the Kijun Sen, so medium term resistance, and the cloud, if this just carried on persisting sideways like this, you'd be kind of building up trouble for yourself, because the longer it persists like this, the stronger these levels of resistance are going to become. So, it's bullish until it's not, and it's bearish until it's not. And right now, I would really want to see some good stuff happening in the next week or two. But that was on the weekly time frame. If we look at the daily time frame here, there is some decent stuff going on here. Like, kind of at least a double bottom there on the daily there at 99654, and I can tell you one thing for sure is that, like, you got a daily close above a dollar 1.0073, you'd be back above the Kijun Sen, this red line, on the daily. Uh, you'd have actually made it's acting as resistance currently, but in the next 24 hours, if it's above a dollar again, then you will have got some support underneath you. This would have been kind of a fake out with the Chico span back here. And yeah, it's not mega bullish, but like this really, this would point to some congestion over the next few days. And then what you're hoping is that you eventually break 120. If you break 120 in the next few days, the path of resistance becomes quite a lot easier to continue through to the upside. So that's loopring now. So tubed out. You wanted to look at Shopify, right? Some pretty interesting stuff going on Shopify actually. Let's have a look. So you got a pretty hardcore Keltner squeeze going on the 4 hour there. Um, the ADX, so the average directional trend, has been blue, has been strong up until this point, and the prevailing trend was to the downside. So it was a strong trend to the downside here for many, many, many well, many weeks there. And don't know if I'm imagining it, but there might be a hint of an inverse head and shoulders going on here. It kind of is there on the RSI like that. Potentially some kind of reversal going on. If I turn off price action, you just look at the Chico span here. It's a bit rough, a bit distorted. Maybe it's like open to interpretation. But yeah, certainly potential reversal there. And price action has come up. You had another head and shoulders to get rejected from that 720 level. You come down again, and yesterday ended with a doji candle, so an indecision candle. It's not obvious which way things are going to go. The market is a little bit unsettled right now with all those FOMC minutes and such. Oh, thanks, Pingo. Yeah. 5-minute warning before markets open. I'm going to have to go and do itchy on real markets and stop looking back to the past here. So yeah, 5 minutes. Let's do Shopify in 5 minutes. Let's blitz this thing. So Chico span getting snagged on price action from the 21st of March here. So congestion, doji candle to the downside. So potentially the bears are unsure about whether they want to continue going down like this. Tenkan-sen, Kijun-sen, Senko span B there, and the cloud are all pointing sideways. You might interpret the kind of longer term trend there as actually strengthening in the bull's favor. I don't think this little gap down in pre-market really means very much. What's going on in the RSI? Some kind of wedge, or yeah, there you go. Yeah, that inverse head and shoulders there potentially. So let's say you bounce off the bearish control zone, you go up and you complete that formation like this. That would be kind of what I would be looking for this to become bullish and to break these levels of resistance. To do that, we obviously need the Bolly Bandidos and some pressure to build up to overcome this. You had a little squeeze here and a gap down, just like on every other stock, pretty much. Nothing too special going on there. So yeah, overall, I think you would describe this downtrend as faltering, and this is really just a period of consolidation because you're just kind of chopping sideways like this. But we'll do the bull case. So let's say you persist in this direction for the next little bit of time. It's on the daily. Let's say you hold at least 645. You're going to end up breaking this downtrend and you're going to enter into an official period of consolidation or absence of trend. So you'll be in the cloud, and that's what it means to be in the cloud. To be in the cloud is to not have any trend, but that's still a big improvement on a downtrend. So take that how you will. So we'll enter into the cloud here, and then you're going to have some period of consolidation. We could even measure that out. You'd be looking at about a month, 30 days of blood just potentially going sideways, which is fine because it's those areas of consolidation that is eventually going to give you the impetus, the rocket fuel. Put a little rocket on there. Woof, woof. That's how you're going to get out of this. All of this negativity is you're going to have that energy build up on the Bollinger Bands here, and it is going to take some time to do it. So I don't think Shopify is going to moon tomorrow, but things could certainly start to look better by the 11th, 12th of April if you keep persisting at this level. You don't have to do anything special. You just need to persist at this level. Just keep persisting, and that's how you break. That's how you break the back of a trend, so to speak, whether that's to the top side or to the downside. Because obviously this has been a pretty vicious downtrend to be in. It wasn't that long ago. It was only December when Shopify was up at 1660 there, and you have had 70% drawdown, which is a big downtrend. And now we're just at this kind of decision point where the bulls and bears have to negotiate over whether is this going to go up again. So yeah, in a nutshell, persist at this level. Ideally, you break 701 again, very, very soon. That would be good. Um, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, Shopify. I think you can see the prevailing trend to the downside, weakening, weakening, weakening. That's what this blue to orange to maroon and eventually to a kind of flashing white low ADX state. All those things will ultimately end up pointing to trend reversal. So with that, I will love you and leave you, and thank you very much for taking the time to watch my stream. I guess I'll leave it up. I don't know if anybody will want to watch it or not, but I really do appreciate all the likes that I got, and yeah, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, just let me know or ask me on Twitter, or you want to look at anything in particular, just hit me up. So yeah, good luck on the market today, and I'll see you later.